Welcome back to season number dose of Quick Chat in the Cadillac. My name's SG. I like to explore the simplicity of complexity. If you don't know, this is my show where I break it down for you both real and quick. Both of them. Now, season 2 is available all over the internet. Okay, you can check TikTok and scroll through all the videos, or you could just go to my YouTube, SG space Bubba space K, and you can watch full episodes there. They're ordered by title, episode number, and series, especially if you check the playlist. So go check that out. Today's topic involves a Chris Brown song. I bet you can't guess which one. It's never the right time to say goodbye. We're going to talk about saying goodbye and what that means and how to do so properly, or at least to the best of your ability. Now, let me make this very simple and very plain. In order to begin a new chapter in life, you have to close an old chapter in life. That seems pretty simple, right? But a lot of us are too sentimental. We just sentimental motherfuckers. We want to hold on to the shit that we feel made us us. We want to hold on to the shit that we feel was supposed to be a part of our lives forever. But most things in life are very, very temporary. You could meet the love of your life, and it's gonna hurt on the day that you die or the day that they die, because even that is temporary. And they say your souls will live on loving forever, but I don't know if that's true. We may reincarnate, but eventually you stop coming back. And also, you may not, get together next lifetime or the lifetime after that. Sometimes it be lots of karma to work through. But let me step out of my spiritual bag and step into my realism bag so that I could get with you real quick and we could collaborate here and understand each other. Knowing that everything is temporary is important because it allows you to understand how important it is, or how much of a blessing it is to exist in the present moment. Getting lost in the future and the past is something that oftentimes dreamers do. And if you're like me, you have big dreams, goals, or you have a very large sense of purpose in your life. But when you remove yourself from the present, you forget to enjoy the things that make life beautiful because they're happening whilst you're elsewhere. And you might be one of those people who could be out of their body and in a different place completely. But I'm going to warn you about that, because you spend too much time outside of you, you're going to forget who you really are. And when you come back to yourself, you won't recognize what you see. And this brings us to goodbyes. Okay, goodbyes are another important part of keeping you in the present moment. Although they are very difficult to do in a lot of cases. Sometimes they're easy. Sometimes they're pretty difficult. But you shouldn't, be trigger happy on your goodbyes, because sometimes you're trying to say bye to some shit way too early, and that'll cause you, problems as well. But let me kind of give you my read on when it's time to say goodbye. So let's imagine you're in a position where you've been working very hard and diligently to achieve something, accomplish something, or move to the next step. Right? So you get to a point where you start feeling stagnant, right? You're putting in the work, you're seeing the efforts and the fruits of your labor come about, but you still feel stagnant, at least day to day. That means you're getting to a point where you probably need to start saying your goodbye. You got to start wrapping up the chapter, tying up loose ends, throwing a bow on that bitch, and lick it, stick it, send it off in the mail. Sometimes goodbyes are easy. Like I said, sometimes you say goodbye to things that you never really understood why you brought them into your life or why they were brought into your life in the first place. But sometimes goodbyes are much more difficult. Sometimes the things that you got to say goodbye to is the very last thing that you want to say goodbye to. Whether that be obvious or, something a little more subconscious. Shit, that's for God to know and for you to find out. But if you're approaching a new chapter in life, it's not room for your old life in this new life, right? It's very simple. Like, if let's say that you got a raggedy ass futon. You got a raggedy ass futon. It's carried you through years of struggle. And one day you got enough money to go buy yourself a nice 3-piece leather couch. Well, you can't put the 3-piece leather couch in the living room with the futon. That shit got to go, as much as you may love the futon. It got to get up out of here. You've been eyeing this 3-piece leather couch for months. You've had your eyes on this shit for months, and when you finally got it, now you like, I don't have enough space for it. Well, you got to get rid of that raggedy ass futon. See, and I'm not trying to compare the things in your life that you hold dear to futons, okay? That's just a simple explanation or a simple example for you to understand what I'm trying to say, right? Sometimes you got to let some shit go, and that's okay. Especially when you're trying to bring something bigger into your life, something more beautiful into your life, something more fitting to the person that you are now, as opposed to the person that you were when you were appreciating the futon, when you loved the futon, the futon was holding you down. Now listen, here's where it gets tricky, because a lot of us don't realize, just because let's say, you bring in the leather couch, you throw the futon in the closet, and you're like, there's space in the closet, in the storage room. We'll just throw the futon in there, but it's still taking up space of your life. It's unnecessary now, right? You didn't want to throw it away. You didn't want to completely cut it out of your life. I get that, but it's still taking up space. And now you got a futon that's raggedy as hell and a 3-piece couch. That shit don't match. What could you realistically do with that futon? Probably nothing. I'm just going to be honest with you, probably nothing. And now people will look at you crazy, because why you got a closet with a futon in it, but you got this nice ass couch here? You gotta clean out the skeletons, bro. You gotta get that shit about the closet. Let it go for real. Sometimes it's not even a physical sense. It's a spiritual and a subconscious sense that you gotta let this shit go for real. That's one big thing that comes about with trauma. That's one big thing that comes about with attachment issues, with abandonment issues. That's what big thing that comes out with fear of success. You gotta let that shit go, because there's no space for it in your new life. You done did all the work just to get to the point where you wanted to be at, and now you holding on to the shit that made it difficult for you to be there. How you supposed to maintain that level? How you supposed to achieve new heights and new levels if you're not clearing out your mental space, your emotional space, in order to make space for all the new and beautiful and exciting things that life is trying to bring you? Way, way easier said than done. Believe me, I know. I'm going through it right now, and I've been through it many times before, but let me just tell you, it's important to do, and it's going to be worth it. You just got to take the leap. You got to understand shit. The futon might have been nice. It might have held me down. This futon might have held me down for years. I was eating ramen noodles on the futons. You can't even say the stains. But it's got to go. The 3-piece couch, you're not supposed to be eating ramen noodles on. That's fine. That's fine, bro. You got to level up at some point. So maybe it's not important to you to get rid of it, but it should be. Okay, and I understand when you clear out your life, when you start saying your goodbyes, it's gonna hurt. Goodbyes, especially permanent or at least, pretty significant goodbyes, it don't usually come with, an immediate sense of like, oh, that was easy. It don't come with a sense of ease. A lot of times it comes with a little piece of you that was attached to that in the past, a little part of you, a little piece of you that associates with that in the past. It's got to go. It's got to die. And with death comes grief. It's okay to grieve after your goodbyes, but once you finally process the goodbye and that shit is out of your life, that connection, that system, that job, that fucking piece of furniture, once it's out of your life, you will be better for it. You'll feel more clear. You'll feel more present. You'll feel more capable. You'll feel more evolved. A lot of people say real niggas don't change, but that's cap, bro. The only thing that should not change about you is the fact that you continue to change positively. You continue to make growth a part of your life and your routine. All right, people should still be able to count on you. Don't get me wrong, but some people, you gotta let them go. You gotta tell them, hey, you might need to count on somebody else. Some things may count on you, but you got to be able to tell them, hey, you got to be able to count on somebody else to make this shit work, because, like I said, it's no longer space for that in your life. It hurts. Truly, deeply, sincerely, it does hurt. So don't feel alone when you're in the process of saying your goodbyes, because I'm sure it hurts whoever you're saying goodbye to. But aside from that, there's people out here who've gone to the levels you've been. Or maybe they haven't. They've just done something similar. They know how it feels to say goodbye. Especially when it's for the betterment of you. Because it hurts on another level too to say, damn, I can't bring this shit with me. This shit really not aligned with me. No, I'm sorry, it's not. You know what you need to let go. When you get to that point where you're almost there, you're right about to cross the threshold, you know what's got to go. It's just a matter of if you're going to let it go and let new things in your life grow, and let new plants in your garden grow, or you going to keeping that weed there just because it's a dandelion and you used to like the dandelions. Nah, man. It's time for a change. All right, so learn how to say your goodbyes. and process it just like a normal human. Peace.